action dolls. I know you guys are so used to the beautiful green scenery and everything behind me, but we're starting a new chapter. You guys, if you don't know what's happened, June 10th, my house burned down. And right now, currently, we are in the process of moving into my new home. So Sherrick here, who I've had on the show previously, I've been talking to him about it. But right now, we're in the process of getting things moved into our new home, which is what you guys have been seeing on my Instagram stories. So it's coming along, and I went live in the house this morning. So you guys can go and check that live out. That was my precursor. You guys know I do my morning walks and talks every morning at 7 a.m. I've been on a health kick. You guys can see me slimming down. The hourglass shape is shaping, doing what it's supposed to do. And I love it. The melanin is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I am okay. And I'm just ready for this new chapter. So thank you, each and every one of you, for the phone calls, the text messages, the congratulations, the checking in. I'm just happy. It's coming together. We have uh, the cable guy supposed to be coming this week. A lot of things are going to be, so I'm going to be ripping and running. And we've got Matthew F. Rios coming on the show on the 23rd. That's Thursday. So hopefully I can do my interview with Matthew in my new home. Who knows? It's coming together though. So we still got a few things that we have to add into the home as well, to a few furniture pieces and all of that. But it's coming along. But enough about me. How have you been, stranger? It's been a minute.
It's been good. It's been good. It's been a busy year. Staying busy with acting work, staying busy with some personal work I'm trying to do. Starting a business right now alongside my acting career. So it has been incredibly fruitful and busy. It's my, I guess my theme for this year has been a theme for breakthrough, and just pushing for breakthrough, breakthrough and greater victories, greater wins this year. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Absolutely. And more great things coming in the future for each and every one of us in 2026. Almost every guest that I've had on since I've returned, because I returned July 2nd, and I shocked everyone, was just like, how did you get back so fast? I was laying
Mhm.
down in my mom's bed here, currently where my brother's at, in the old place, and we're moving to the new one together. And I was brainstorming, and I said, I feel like my voice is silent. Nobody can hear me. I've been putting out posts, but I know people are just like, are you okay? Are they going to, I just started to worry. So I said, what can I do? And my mom said, why don't you do your show elsewhere? And I thank my beautiful aunt, who's like my second mom to me, for allowing me to use her home, open her home for me to do a couple shows there. And the beautiful photography that you guys have been seeing, that is hers. That is, we call her the queen, and you guys call me the queen. So it's only fair. And I said, shoot some beautiful pictures over there. And she loved it. Everybody loved it. So thank y'all. And more beautiful photography. And I feel like white is just pure. So I said, you know what? I don't need a backdrop. Let's make the background white because it's purity. I'm at a point in my life where I'm at peace, where I'm happy, which goes to tie into what Sherrick just said, which is finding your newfound peace. You're reinventing yourself. And I am the queen of reinvention. As you can see, over 1,000 interviews done. I have changed up my look so many times, but my personality is still the same. So today's conversation, we are centering around reinvention or rebirth. What does that look like for you, Sherrick? Because I can remember it was all three of us the last time. Mark Angel, who's going to be coming on the show next week, and we were diving into some heavy topics when he was here. But mental health, and not only just mental health, but what does maintaining your peace look like for you? Because also, not too long ago, it was just mental health awareness month. So what does maintaining your peace look like for you at this point in your life?
That's a really good question. I think number one, it's just having a routine, a routine or a system to kind of ground me and help me reset and get back to my rhythm. I feel like spoke, getting back to my rhythm, God's rhythm, man. There's things that I've been practicing the last couple of years that have been really grounding and anchoring. Every day I wake up, I do my journaling when I get up. I'll journal a little bit. Figure out what's going on with me. What's going on in my world, inside
Give
my
me
mind,
one sec.
inside my
You said
heart.
journaling.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Oh my God, there it is. I've got it, y'all. And the thing I couldn't do when I was at my old house was move around, but now I can. So I have my diary right here too. So you
All
guys
right,
can
all
see
right,
it
all
and
right.
zoom in. Plot twist. Because, through life we go through so many unexpected turns, twists and turns, and so many things that unexpectedly pop up and appear on your bingo card.
Mm.
So go on, Sherrick, to add on to what you was just saying.
I love that title though. Plot twist. That's a great title. It's very apt for this interview too, and what you do with your interviews. Um, every morning, getting up, doing my journal, doing a gratitude list. I do actually do a gratitude list throughout the day, just to allow my mind to be able to see all the victories, all the wins, all the good things that are going on. Because the last couple of years, I've really been focusing on four things: abundance, alignment, authenticity, and authority. And how do I move into those things and invite those things more into my life? And doing that gratitude journal is really big, just allowing me to see everything that's going on and counting my wins, because I think it's so easy, especially doing the line of work that I do, with acting, to only want to see the mountaintop wins, the mountaintop victories, only want to see, oh, when I book that series regular or that movie role or that next guest star or whatever, instead of being able to see that every day I'm doing the work, whether it's a play reading, whether I'm, writing something, and even just incorporating all the other wins. Like me, I was mentioning, I'm doing a life coaching, building a life coaching business right now, helping, Christians find their life purpose in their callings and how to step into those things. It's the work that I'm doing to grow myself into more wholeness. All those different things are wins, and so just taking stock of those things, I think is a really big part of it. I do my affirmations that I like to do every day. I got my vision board up, so not only am I, visualizing everything, I'm calling it in. I have it written down. I have it on the vision board, I have it in multiple places. So I can always go back to what's the thing that I'm trying to strive for? What are the things I'm striving for in each area of my life that I want? Um, a lot of worship, every day I try to at least listen to one worship song, in my prayer and, study, reading the Bible, because all those things are grounding things for me. Those are part of my toolkit, and for me also, I think it's a lot of it's also just being mindful about connection. For me right now in this season of my life, um, particularly because I'm also coming from a place where I had come from a recovery background as well. So connection is really huge, and making sure that I'm connected with family, connected with friends, to fill my cup, because the greatest thing I think that we can do to mismanage our energy and all the resources we have is not moving from a full cup ourselves, and trying to pour into other people when we're not full ourselves. So, and I feel like if I connect with other people, that allows me to do that. So, exercise, all those different things are just different parts of like the pillar. Am I doing all those things every single day, hitting checking those boxes? No, but I'm normally trying to get some of those things done. And in totality, those are the things that I feel like are grounding me right now in this season of just having continued growth, because I feel like the last couple of years I've done a lot of work with personal development, whether it's through coaching, working with coaches, and doing my own individual work. But now I feel like I'm in a season now I'm seeing the fruit of doing that work. So it's more like, okay, now I'm getting to see the expansiveness. Okay, I've done a lot of intensive work the last couple of years. Now, what does it look like now when I'm able to like step into the version of me that's come out of that on the other side? So,
Shout outs to my girl Faith is the substance. Hey Faith, hey girl. Y'all make sure y'all go and check her
hello.
interviews out. She is amazing. And we did an interview. So y'all go and check that out as well too. And she was one of the ones that reached out to me as well when the fire happened. Like, girl, are you okay? What's going on? You know, like, how you doing? How did it happen? A lot of people were DMing me. So, but I want to go back to what you just said about authenticity,
Hmm.
because that's something that I touch on a lot on my platform here is authenticity. And each and every one of us, we have something that makes us unique in every single way. And when I created Style by Stevie, I said I wanted to do something that is revolutionary, that has never been done. I said, you know what? Let's combine all of the things that people love. You know, it's easy to say I'm going to do a talk show, or I'm going to be an actor, or I'm going to be a director. But what is that sauce, that finger looking sauce that keeps you going, that brings you, that makes people want more of it? It's just like, okay, what's something that I know people love? Uh, Popeye's chicken sandwich. You know, people love those. It's like, what is it that keeps people coming back for more to make them want these sandwiches? Or, you know, Baskin Robbins, that's another example. Ben and Jerry's, ice cream. Everybody has their flavor that they like. So when I got into the arena of hosting Style by Stevie, not knowing what I was doing, because I started right after high school, I'm looking
Hmm.
at my peers like Conscious TV. I'm looking at my peers like King Jives, my other colleague, Bubs to God, all of them. And here I am just starting. They've been doing it longer than me. My brother K Tukes as well, too. Here I am starting at like what, 2013, 2014. My God, it's been so long with me doing all of these interviews on this platform here. And I said, what is going to be my formula? Everybody has their own formula, their own way that they cook on their talk show and their platforms. But I said, what is going to be the thing that sets me aside? And it's authenticity. And one of my guests said this to me when I did my interview with him. He said, you made me feel warm and welcome, and not just warm and welcome, but you also are truly who you are, which is bubbly. And if you know me in person, in real life, outside of Style by Steve, what you see is what you get. I have the same bubbly, outgoing personality. I do things fast. I love to hop up. I'm energetic. I'm like a ball of energy. I have a 2-year-old nephew, and I don't know who's worse. We're having to run up to him because he don't like to take baths. So literally, he's in a stage right now where he likes to climb. He tells you no. When you tell him to do something, you tell him don't climb up there. He's like, no, no. So that's what kind of stage he's in right now. But I'm like I said, I have a little bit of we, each and every one of us should be embracing our inner child. And me, I'm at a state in my life where I'm done with the darkness, the sadness. I've cried. Yes, I cried when the tragedy happened June 10th. I did. Every day I thought about it, I cried. And it still traumatizes me. But I've learned that when it pertains to authenticity, I think that we should be embracing our true selves. And I felt as though before I wasn't showing emotion. I was stoic. And it's just like when somebody tell me someone would pass, I will try to be the strong one. But this right here just made me open and even more vulnerable to the world, you know, to show parts of myself that I've never shown with people. That's authenticity. To show emotion, because I tried to fight back tears. Even in some of my interviews, you would go back and watch where I would try to, if someone gets emotional, I'd be like, it's okay. You know, whereas the talk show host, you're expected sometime to be emotional. That happens. But that's not the case for me. I would always try to be the one encouraging people, or like the mama bear or the aunt in a way. But now I must say, this is the most vulnerable. It's basically like me carving myself open to the world. And even for anybody else, authenticity, you are in a vulnerable space where you're carving yourself open to the world. Hey, Chrissy. Hey, Boo. And I hope you had an amazing birthday. You guys, make sure y'all wish my Chrissy, one of my beautiful mods, amazing mods, a very special happy belated birthday. Chrissy just celebrated his birthday yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Chrissy, let me know if I got it right, my love. And I thank you so much for those good morning texts. I look forward to seeing them. keeping me inspired. But we're talking about authenticity. Sherrick made a point when he was talking about being vulnerable, being in a space where you can be authentic with people. And when I created Style by Stevie, I said, what is going to be the thing that sets me aside from other talk show hosts? One is my personality. Uh, my God, my fashion, my the fashion choices, I think is what keep people coming because I've always been in vogue in style. I've always looked at a lot of fashion magazines and Paris and New York, and I'm like, okay, that's one thing that I think grabs people's eyes, the fashion, the choices. But not only that, but people take away from the message not only myself, me sharing bits and pieces of me, but from my guests as well too, them sharing their stories because you never know. Your story can impact the next person's life and the next person's life and the next person's life. And there's so many people out here that are going through real life issues. You have setbacks. So I think that is authenticity in itself. So everybody has their own definition and way that they define being authentic, which is being original. Be original, be the best version of yourself. And I'm pretty sure that everybody has heard that over a dozen times about being the best version of themselves because we all have something unique that sets us aside from the next person and the next person. So I say, be the best version of you and don't try to duplicate anybody else because all you can do is be you. Now, Sherrick said something that I shared with him in our first conversation, which is the vision boards. So when you said that, my eyes lit up for a reason because you guys know I live by vision boards. I got them out of my room, y'all. They're good. They're in the new house and they still look as if I made them. It's three of them. And I know every day I do a mental checklist when I go to the new house and I see the vision board in my room because I had them on the wall, but I said, you know what, let me just sit them up over here in this corner so I can just go and look at them and do a mental checklist. Have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? Set yourself a game plan, set yourself a goal. Writing in your journal can be therapeutic as well, too, as Sherrick said in the beginning of this conversation. So I just wanted to. Hi, Deshaun, another person who's been keeping me company and content during the process of going through that dark period. Because when it happened, it was like a dark cloud was over me. I found myself in a depression, slipping. But I'm just like, you can't fall. Your your family needs you. Your supporters need you. And my mom's apologized to me. She said, look how beautiful she is. Oh, this new thing. Thank you, Deshaun. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I don't look like what I've been through. And
It's a
by
blessing.
me sharing my story and by sharing his story and talking about authenticity, hopefully this can help encourage other people as well also too to believe in themselves and never give up. I'm so ready for this new chapter, y'all, and y'all are going on it with me. Like I said, I went in the house this morning and I took a moment and I just sat on the sofa that my brother, because it's my brother's sofa, we are both collectively putting pieces in there that we like together, so it's a combination of the mask and the feminine aspect. So the Marilyn Monroe, that was all me. That came out of my room. So you guys see it in our new house, but I love it. Um, and it's amazing to see how everyone's style is different, everyone's personality is different, because this system is trying to have everyone as robots, and that's not how it is. We're all human beings. And to that point, Deshaun, I'll say this: we are not cars. We're not vehicles. We can't just keep going. A car needs to be refilled on gas. We have to refill. We have to recharge. And Sherrick said something, and I think it was also, oh my God, Levi. Levi said something as well too, which is you can't pour from an empty glass. So that means when you are pouring into other people, make sure that you're pouring into yourself as well too. because we sometimes go on E, just like a car goes on E, we can sometimes go on E. And I think it's important, as Deshaun said in the comments, that we refill. They want us to say, yes, master. And I know where you're going, Deshaun. You're not going to get me there. Mark is not here today. The last time we were here, we were touching on that. But let me touch on that for a moment as well, too, as it pertains to authenticity. We are living in a climate right now where they, and we know who they are showing us who they truly are. And I'm thankful because now we as Black people, if you know where I'm going, we know exactly what the game plan is. And I will also say this as well too. Black people, we're not new to this, we're true to this. And it is white in front of your eyes. Could read between the lines. So white, that's their plan. The plan is white everything. And I'm so glad that they've got someone who has taught them that it's okay to be this way so that we can avoid you. We as Black people, we can avoid you. So continue to keep showing your true colors to us as Black people in this country because we will keep dealing with y'all accordingly. And we can be petty. Black people, we can be really petty. We will make your pockets hurt. If this is what you're about, if you're aligning yourself with this system that is keeping us oppressed, and rightfully so. We couldn't really dive in deep detail when Mark was here, when we talked about it, how systemic racism works as it pertains to them showing us who they truly are. I would rather see you show it to me in my face rather than my back is turned and you're calling me the N word. So come on, show me your true colors. But you know what? It's a quote from Maya Angelou, and y'all know I love me some Maya Angelou. I have a couple of books of hers at the house, by the way. And I need to grab my copy of Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. If you haven't read it, you need to go and read it. Because they're banning books and literature as well, too. And it's important that we stay socially conscious and aware to what's going on leading up to November 3rd. Hey, Chef Sky. Hey, girl. I know where you're going, Miss Stevie. I know it. You bought it out of me. We got to talk about it because it is now a time where we as Black people, we become aware. We cannot continue to keep our heads in the sand because y'all heard what Foghorn Leghorn, the Bordazar, said. He says, if you don't comply, you will die. And he's not just talking about them. He's talking about people that look like us. So I to say this, I'm glad that they're showing us who they are in real time. And now we as Black people, we can deal with y'all accordingly. We will be in our resting quarters. We will rest because during slavery, we couldn't rest. No, you had to get out there like Deshaun said in the comments, and you had to rest as a way of being on master. You had to work as being on master's plantation. No, you couldn't rest. Uh-uh. Sun up to sundown, you get out there in those fields. And if you talk back, if you dare talk back, you get 31 lashes on your back. Y'all have seen 12 Years a Slave.
Is it all right if I because you're talking about authenticity and backtrack a little bit and then also speak to something you were saying just now.
Uh-oh. Now
Um,
y'all done got him started. See what you done started, Deshaun? Go ahead, share. Let me get my
I'm gonna go.
smart water over here.
I'm gonna go in reverse and then come back. But I think it's really powerful you're talking about authenticity because I think the thing that I love about the thing that I love about authenticity is that the more authentic we are, the more we give other people permission to be authentic themselves. Because so many of us are wanting to live out the fullest expression of who we are, to speak our truth, to walk in the fullness of who we're supposed to be, what we're called to do on this earth. But a lot of times, whether it's from how we're brought up, societal things, cultural things, even just the the own beliefs that we're struggling with on a day-to-day basis, we're not stepping into the authenticity. So I love the power of people being empowered to step out into authenticity, and especially you talk about your show and what you're doing here. You're giving a platform to people. People get to see your light, um, your point of view, and you're giving other people a platform to come and share their light, and also showing them that, hey, you can do the same thing in your own way. And when I think about authenticity, um, I was thinking about two things while you were talking. One was just how in this season for me, authenticity has meant owning and stepping into the fullness of who I am. So my mission, I feel like when I started acting, acting was a passion of mine. I love diving in and helping people understand how to view life differently. How do we see our humanity differently? How do we grapple with those tough questions and those tough issues? How do we grapple with the black and the white and the gray aspects of our humanity and who we are and the stories that make up who we are? And as I've been doing that, I've been focusing, when I first came to Los Angeles, I've been here 9 years now, about 9+ years. I've been focusing on that, and I've had this calling to go back to the bigger thing that I'm called to, and I think that is to empower people to be their fullest selves and help people transform. And what's been so beautiful is that you talk about authenticity. I'm more than an actor. I'm an educator, I'm an actor, I'm a minister. This coaching business, I'm doing that. But what's true about me is the fact that through all those things, there's a common through line, and my mission is to pour into other people so they can be their fullest selves. And on the acting side with authenticity, it's just amazing to see how the more I've grown in the last couple of years and become more whole, worked on myself, and took ownership of just being who I am and loving myself at a higher level, that it's born fruit in my work. My work is richer. My work is more fruitful. My work is more fulfilling. I just finished working on a stage adaptation of Time to Kill for the last 4 months. So beautiful run, great run. I played the character Carly Haley in the movie. Samuel L. Jackson played that role. So it was a beautiful, powerful show, and I would not have been able to do that work at the caliber and the level of the work that I did had not I been doing that work of just stepping to my own authenticity, so I can bring the full, expansive version of myself to that work to tell that powerful story. And what's beautiful about that is that that's carrying out through all my work, and that authenticity in the work that I'm doing, is inviting other work. I'm getting ready to work on a film this week. I've had a TV show opportunity that I was unavailable for with a really cool spinoff. But all those things have been dominoes of me just saying, how do I continue taking ownership of who I am and being true to myself? Because as an artist, the most powerful thing we have is our authenticity and our point of view. And if I'm not living in authenticity in my daily, everyday life, how can I live in authenticity in a powerful way in the work that I'm doing? Um, so those are just two things that came out here. But then going back to that last thought you were talking about, just what's going on, I think on a larger level, in our society right now, I think that's why it's really authenticity in terms of us just speaking up, and just it's just amazing how powerful it is just us walking in who we are. That in itself, you know, is a way of combating everything that we're seeing, societally. You're talking about, what the borders are saying, you're talking, and all the different things we could dive into, with all the foolishness going on right now. But I think that it's really important that we are not only continue to be authentic in our daily lives, but also just being authentic and speaking up about it, because there's so many things where we're seeing things are shifting, and they're shifting beneath our feet when we don't say anything. You know, So the more that we're willing to talk about it, the more we're willing to speak about it, the more we're willing to say that we're not in alignment with that and speak up against that. I feel like that's continuing, to let people know, like you said, that we're here. We're not moving. We're not going back to how things used to be. And that time be gone. And it's so ironic we're talking about this because after doing that, A Time to Kill, I don't know if you and your artists are familiar with the play and the movie and the book, but it's set in Mississippi. And then, ironically, after finishing that play, 2 days after finishing the play, I went to Mississippi for a family reunion. And so it's it was just so interesting going there and seeing this town that has such a history of being impacted by segregation and Jim Crow and all those things, and knowing the legacy of it, but then also seeing how things have flipped. One of the most beautiful things about it was that my family, we rented out what used to be, it was like a very colonial house. Kind of looks like the stereotypical Southern house, big, huge white pillars. We rented out this house that was bought by a black family in this town in Mississippi that my family's from. And what's so powerful about it is that the black family that owns this house now and this whole estate and turned it into a hotel, um, the man that bought it used to walk by every day and see his grandma working for the white owners in that house. And he told himself that one day I'm gonna buy this place, and I'm gonna use that, to just be a symbol of power and uh, and just shift, to remind me and my family that we can do more with bigger than the circumstance we're placed in. And so when we were staying there, what I thought was powerful was going to this house that used to be owned by this family where this man had to watch his white grandmother work day in and day out, doing the cleaning, doing all those different things. And now his grandmother's picture, his family pictures are all over that place, and seeing how, when we move in authenticity, when we move in power, that we can shift and change things. We can reclaim stories, we can claim, narratives, and we can make sure that that we're using our voice to create the world that we want to have, instead of just being subjected to whatever people are trying to place on us, because they want to erase our story, they want to erase our existence, in the sense of us being able to have a platform and say, hey, this is who we are, and we deserve to be here in the same way that you do.
Y'all know why I'm making that face? Because who's been saying that this whole time? You're hearing it from somebody else. I don't have to say it a whole lot. So Deshaun, y'all, I hope y'all are listening, because what have I been saying? It's right in front of you. Their mission of what they're planning to do. We as black people, we are in charge of our stories. They cannot erase it. But Jamie Foxx, he said something on the red carpet one day. They asked him because they was going after the African American, what is it, the Smithsonian Museum. They were removing African American artifacts from the Smithsonian Museum. And Jamie Foxx was asked about it on the red carpet. He said they can try to erase, but guess what? We will replace. We will continue to keep breaking barriers and making history. And it's important for us as black people, to make sure that we continue to keep preserving our legacy, our lineage, and we keep pushing out the truth. Because what we're seeing right now, I don't know what this is, what I can tell you what this is. This is state ran media. This is how fascism operates. It operates in a way where it's just like you don't know what to believe, if it's true or not, and mainstream media has done that. It's called propaganda. And the only purpose that it is serving is it is helping. I'm gonna behave. I'm not gonna cuss because I don't want my brother to hear me. He's out there. But Orange Piggy, they can put out news that benefits him. And y'all know who Orange Pig is. If you've been following me on Instagram, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Make sure that we are continuing to keep pushing our stories out here. I give you an example. Pam Grier, we know her as Coffee, we know her as Foxy Brown. She went and she created her own network to showcase what was called black exploitation cinema at that time in the 70s. You know, and who taught me about black exploitation cinema like Dolomite, Superfly, the Mac. If you were in the 70s, the black exploitation area, you talk about black female superheroes. Cleopatra Jones is one. TNT Jackson is another. Uh, y'all see it every day here on YT YouTube. Get Christy Love is another. So we had cinema that was pushed out for us in the 70s. Shows like Good Times, Sanford and Son, all of this. We are the culture. There's been a whole conversation surrounding living single, which I feel, in my opinion, friends bite off of the idea of living single. Hmm. Because just think about it. You got friends who are dating, who are in a relationship, who are all roommates, who come in. It's the same idea and concept as friends. And you have Yvette Lee Bowser, a black woman who graduated, who went to a historically black college and university, and created a show based off of her life and her friendship with her friends at college during that time. So it's basically based off of a true story, but it's in sitcom form. And then years later, you have friends come along and do the same thing as well too. So that's why it's important that we, as storytellers, black people, we are storytellers. We make sure that we are continuing to tell the stories. They want to get rid of the NPR. They want to get rid of the Associated Press. They want to get rid of PBS because it's educational. But PBS said, no, we're going to continue to keep pushing the truth out here. Did you know about this person? Did you know about this person? They put out something out here about if you like folklore, like I like folklore literature as well too. Y'all know who I'm going to talk about. Zora Neale Hurston. Their eyes were watching God. And guess who I had the pleasure of sitting down with back in 2021, me and my co-host Johnny, Jensen Atwood, who also was in that production of Their Eyes Were Watching God, but Oprah took it over and she did had some production and stuff behind it. Holly Berry was in it as well. So it's important that we continue to keep telling these stories. We continue to keep pushing our stories out here and be authentic, be black, be proud, live in your blackness and never tone it down. And it pisses me off when people out here go after Jasmine Crockett saying she's doing too much. No, she's doing what I'm doing, which is what black women do. We are showing up as our authentic selves. Our beauty, our strength, not just black women, but black people, our beauty, our strength, our intelligence, they want that. And that's why they're trying to erase it. So continue to keep being your authentic self, black brothers and sisters. Keep showing up with your bonnets on. Keep showing up with your door knocker earrings. You keep showing up as who you are, authentic. We're not doing the respectability over here anymore because they don't care less if you graduate from college, if you've how you're dressed, all of that. They don't care less about that. They see black, you are instantly a target. They don't care about it. Do the most. Let me tell you something about the female performers and creators out here who were told they were doing too much. They were doing the most. Eartha Kitt, Josephine Baker. They were told Nina Simone left the country, became too much for her. These women were told that they were doing too much, that they knew too much. And of course, the FBI tapped their phone lines. Not only to these three women, but the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, as well too. So make that four. They tapped her phone line as well too. Prominent black women. So when black people get in these positions of power, y'all start making jokes about fried chicken and watermelon. Y'all start just homeboy just did a whole skit on Drewski. I'm not even gonna give you that clout and attention. Because the more we talk about him, the more money he gets. And he still shows up. He finds a way to show up. You knew not to show up at the Black People's Cookout, and that's the BET Awards. You got your ass handed to you, and rightfully so. So continue to keep celebrating, continue to keep embracing our culture, telling our stories, and authenticity. Be authentic, be real, because it scares them. And Sherrick said something about speaking out. Jennifer Lewis, I'm not sure if y'all seen her on T.S. Madison's Outlaws podcast, but she was calling out other celebrities about not speaking out about what's going on.
Mm.
And I want to make sure that I'm doing it. I try to include it into some of my interviews. I'll slide it in there. If my guests, whenever I ask my guests how they're feeling, and I had to do it with Sherrick, I had to be careful with him as well too. I was like, okay, is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? But Mark came in, and it was just a great conversation. All three of our point of views and perspectives as Black creatives. That interview is up here on this channel, so make sure y'all go and check that out. Showing up and showing out, exactly, Chef Sky. We as Black creators, as Black people, as Black innovators, we have to continue to show up. Thank God for the NAACP Image Awards. Thank God for what Drewski did with the BET Awards this year.
Mm.
Because one thing they can't silence is Black joy. They hate to see us happy. They hate to see us successful, which is why they're so in a hurry. I gotta erase this. I gotta hurry. I gotta erase the data for this. I gotta wipe off this. As much as you try to erase it, African American women, we will still be number one in education leading in this country. How do I know so much about politics and how government should work? And I'm only 32 years old. Do I look 32, y'all? It's a Maybelline commercial out here that says, "Oh, revitalizing foundation. You want to look youthful. Black don't crack." I look the same as what I did when I was in high school, and that's because I take care of myself, and not only that, but I take care of my people and I educate my people. 32 where? How old do I look? Take a guess in the comments. But I know I won't look like this forever when I get 50 and 60. But you know what? Bevy Smith, she said this, it gets greater later. So that's aging. We talk about that a whole nother conversation. But right now we're talking about authenticity and them trying to erase Blackness. And by they, you know who? The colonizers. They want to make it a revisionist of celebrating Columbus and who's another failed Confederate, General E. Lee. So while we're out here inventing the culture, they're out here trying to strip it away. And it's important that we continue to keep telling our stories authentically. Be authentic. And that's one thing that I do here on my platform. I believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And almost every guest that I've had here on this platform that I've sat with from every walk of life, telling their stories, it's important. So we have to continue to keep pushing them out here and be authentic because if you go someplace to like, let's see, CBS, ABC, with the new head over there, did y'all see where she basically said, we're not going to push this CCOT documentary out here.
Mhm.
We're going to make sure that it's not shown at all. And if you give the truth, if you give the actual truth, we're going to fire you for that. Me and Deshaun had a whole conversation, a 2 hour long phone conversation about The View and why Whoopi Goldberg decided that she wasn't going to push back against Couch Fucker Vance. I'm sorry, and I'm cursing in front of the minister. Sherrick is a minister, and I'm charged to my head and not my heart, Lord. Okay? Y'all know where my heart at. But allow them to brainwash you and simulate. But it won't work with us as Black people because we know the actual truth in this country. We know that our ancestors built this country. We know that our ancestors built the White House that they're in, and that he has took 60 million of our hard-earned taxpaying dollars and set up a UFC fight on the line. Not only that, but we're at war with another country that's not even bothering us. Whereas we should be leading center stage. We are the laughing stock. But see, democracies die when authoritarian starts to rise.
Mhm.
And right now, that's what's happening in real time. Opening your eyes, my darling, and listen to me carefully. Sit down and look me closely in my eyes when I tell you that authoritarianism is here. And it's right at your doorsteps. It's in our bedrooms, it's in your doctor's office, it's in your pocketbook, it's in your wallet. And that same UFC fight where this got up here and called the first black woman of the United States of America a man, massage noir. And we know exactly whenever they get out here and they say something, it is a direct dog whistle to us, not as black women, but as black people. And instead of, yes, the plane he got from the Qatari, $430 million to go to his presidential library. That fucker didn't write a book. Art of the Deal, he didn't write that. I ain't never seen him pick up a book in his life. But I can tell you one book that he's in that he's notorious in, and that's the Epstein Files. So I'm going to get off of my soapbox and land the plane there because y'all got me cussing in front of the pastor. Sorry, Lord. Y'all know where my heart at. But go on, Sherrick. We were talking authenticity.
Well, I appreciate you, being, I appreciate you just allowing your passion to come through because it's important, like you said, like you've been saying before, it is important, absolutely important for us to be speaking up and speaking out because, we see how easy it is for things to shift, when there's silence. And silence, leads to conformity. And if we're not speaking out, you know, it's going to impact us because a lot of things that happen, even the things that aren't directly impacting us, you talk about things with ice, for instance, that proportionally aren't affecting us, but all this stuff is going to come back and affect all of us, that aren't in a position of power or privilege. So no, I appreciate that you speak from a place of passion. Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Y'all got me cussing. Deshaun, you got me cursing in front of the pastor, Deshaun. You got me cursing in front of the pastor. Sorry, Lord. Y'all know my heart. It's like that scene of Medea and Boo of Halloween where she was like, she got in the church and she was like, I can't church. She had to bite her tongue, but it had to come out. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, but it's not just that, but it's the same feeling that we as black people in this country have felt for 400 years. And right now we are taking our resources and trying to tap into other resources. Because if we go out there to the streets and revolt, we know exactly what will happen. You have to take that creativity, that animosity that you have inside, that anger, that passion, all of that, and tap it into something. So I said, use Style by Stevie as a way to write a letter. And this is like when TLC made fan mail. They couldn't get to every one of their fans' letters, even though Chili is MAGA. Yes, I always wanted to be Chili. If not Chili, I said, I don't want to be her no more. I don't want to be the girl on the swing no more. I want to be the girl that's like in the bird cage with the pink hair, and that was T-Boz. So, um, but I say that to say this. You stand for something, you fall for anything. What did Malcolm X say about the house Negro? And I'm seeing a lot of our people sell out their own people. Amir Odom, Byron Donalds, Tim Scott, where I'm at in South Carolina as well too. Chef Scott said, Pastor knows your heart. Yes, y'all got me cussing in front of the pastor. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. But yes, like I was saying though, it's important for us as black creatives to continue to keep pushing our stories because they will say slavery wasn't so bad. We know that was horrible. What our people endured, what our ancestors endured for 400 years. And y'all expect us to sit up here and jump for joy for America 250. No, black people didn't celebrate the 4th. We might have thrown something on the grill, But we said, no, we're going to celebrate Juneteenth. That's when we celebrate our freedom. Columbus Day, we're not celebrating that. We're celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. Because y'all colonizers came over here and y'all stole land. Y'all stole land from our ancestors. You whipped them. You ripped out their fetuses out of pregnant slaves. You've thrown them off of the boats, had sharks following the boats to eat them. Y'all would whip us and lay it on us like brass. Y'all would string us up from trees. Oh, and don't get me started. Nolan Wells' homegoing service was today.
Mm.
Mhm. And what you saw were two parents who are mourning, who cannot pick up the phone and call their son. Officer Tatum, that goes to you. You went on News Nation and you regurgitated white supremacy. And we know exactly what Harriet would do with people like y'all. Amir, Officer Tatum. You want your coffee and your donuts? You want a cookie for what you did on News Nation? But thank God for black women. There's a black woman by the name of Teselin Figaro, and y'all have seen her all over CNN fact checking these white supremacists. You have to fact check them because what they're doing right now, currently, rewriting it and whitewashing it. Why do you think they removed Harriet Tubman's hymn book from the Smithsonian Museum? Why do you think that they removed Obama's self portrait from out of the White House? They pushed it to the back, stripping away all of the accomplishments from the first black sergeants in the military, docking their pay. It's no coincidence. It's racism, baby. And it's alive and it's white in front of your face. So I'm not going to sit up here and act as if I have privilege because I'm black. From the last time I checked, I'm black. It's not. I can try to scrub it off. It's not going nowhere. Our existence will not be erased. And
Mm.
I want black people to know this. Your story, your existence will not be erased because when that orange piggy is gone, we are going to be on another side of history. We will prevail. And white supremacy, at a certain period of time, they're going to get tired of the cruelty. They're going to get tired of hurting other people because they're already eating their own. They're already turning on each other. And I think it's beautiful. Your white and your racism is expensive and it's costing. And it's unfortunate that it's costing our people, black people as well too, because we didn't get in this mess. We've been read the room. Black people have always had to keep our heads on swivel and be in protection of survival. Right now, it's about survival. So write your story to any survivor out there, any black person who is a survivor. Write your story, tell your story, and do not let them erase. Because what they're doing is they're trying to purge everything and replace it with loyalists that are loyal to Orange Pity. And I'll close there with that as it pertains to authenticity and telling your stories. Make sure that you pick up a pen and paper, write everything down. Grab your phone, vent, scream, curse, do what you need to do to get it out of your system. There's an influx of black creators out here who are hosting their platforms. Bootsy Saunders is one of them. Check him out here on YouTube. My colleague Bubs the God, as my other colleague Deshaun said in the comments, is another. Conscious TV. Sherrick O'Quinn, Mark Angel, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing both of them together. Because I asked, could we do a double? Could we do a panel? And it just blended. The fellas clicked with each other. And it's about creativity. Mark is not only a musician, he is a filmmaker. Sherrick here is a filmmaker and an actor. So tap into that creative bag. Now is not the time to sit here and sit on your gifts And it was Kim Coles. Kim Coles from Living Single. She was saying, use your gifts. Use your gifts. Don't sit on your talent, black people. We can dance, we can sing, we can perform. Put it in the music. And I can tell you again, a person who was genius at putting it in the music. And she made a song when Sherrick said about Mississippi, Mississippi, Nina Simone. She wrote about it. She wrote about the structural racism that people experienced in Mississippi.
Mhm.
And now we have Nolan Wells, Louisiana, deep in the bayou. This young black man, unalived, and his friends scrubbing their social media. Oops, they're not friends. Y'all were there to do exactly what you were doing. And you went out in a place where there's a location where nobody could be called or reached, and now you recovered the phone. And his mom checked the phone. And she said something. That's because mothers know that intuition. Women, we know our intuition. When we sense danger, when we sense that something is going to happen, we
Give me
can
just
pick it
one
up.
moment. Make sure my phone's staying charged up.
Uh oh, you were saying?
I said, give me just one moment. Make sure my phone's staying charged.
Okay, yes. And I don't want to keep sharing, y'all, but we started cooking in this conversation. We're already an hour in. But I say that to say this. I want you all to know that the importance of us telling our stories can help impact the next generation and the next generation. So I will close there on authenticity, and I hope you guys are listening and paying attention because I'm not going to tell you once. You heard it from me. I'm only going to tell y'all once. And then you're going to hear from my other guests the same thing that I've been telling you as well, too, which is it's right in front of your face. Their plan, their mission of what they want to do. And it's to hurt people. It is not only to hurt people, but they get off on the suffering of black people. They don't want us to be liberated. They don't want us to be educated. During slavery, they didn't want us to learn how to read or write. And if you did, God forbid, you would be punished. So now that we have the knowledge, we know how the system is supposed to work. It backfired on them by them trying to whitewash it. Because even some of their own are saying, no, y'all were not oppressed. White people were not oppressed. White men were not oppressed. Black people were. Y'all
Hmm.
were not sold into slavery, separated away from your family. And right now we're living in a divided United States of America with three Ks. But as my girl Hope Giselle says, I'll wait. And I'll close with that on authenticity. The next part that we touched on was self care, self awareness. So, Sherrick, what would you give to anybody out here who is struggling with mental health? Because we know that we as Black people with 400 years of trauma and oppression,
Hmm.
we have a lot pent up. And it's just like we haven't really cried. We're stoic to it. What
Mm.
advice would you give to somebody on as it pertains to authenticity? Well, we touched on authenticity, but I meant to say uh, self awareness
Mm.
and self care because it's imperative. You cannot pour from an empty glass. I'm telling you, you will wear yourself out. Listen to your body. So, what would you tell them, Sherrick?
Number one is I'll say we're all carrying something because I think a lot of
Mm,
times we want to believe that we're fine and we're good, because our we can come from families, and culture and background communities where we're so used to just moving and getting by. And I think it's important to recognize that no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, and your baggage might not look like somebody else's baggage, but we all have something that we're carrying. We have beliefs, we have core wounds, we have trauma, we got all these different things we're carrying around. And for us, we're so resilient, and we know how to code switch. We know how to carry it because I mean, every day we walk out into the world, we're carrying a lot of different things. whether it's, thinking about, I mean, it's if, from the little things. I mean, just like walk on the sidewalk and wonder, and meet, for instance, me, you can't see it on here because I'm sitting down, but I'm 6'3", you know, walking down the sidewalk and, seeing, how people interact with me just because I'm a 6'3" black man. Don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my education, about who I am, where I come from. But seeing, decisions that are made based on assumptions or stereotypes, thinking about, when you're driving out in the street, and wondering, okay, is this police officer gonna pull me over, and I'm not doing anything wrong, but knowing that I'm tensing up because I see a police officer behind me, knowing that there's no reason why I should be, feeling that way. But I feel like just even having that awareness to recognize that there's things that we got to work on, I think is number one powerful, because I think a lot of us, have just we're just so used to doing that because for generations that's what we've done. We get by, but I think we have to we have to have that awareness, because the shift for us, I think, has to be from not just surviving but thriving.
Yes.
How do we go from surviving to thriving? And you mentioned, filling that cup, and I think one of the greatest things you can do is, if you have the means, you know, to have a therapist, have a coach, somebody you're talking with, because it's hard to see those things and unpack those things that you may not have perspective to be able to see. I think about my own journey. I didn't realize, that I had a lot of that I had been dealing with depression for years in my life. A very low level of depression, but depression nonetheless. Because it was just something that it's just always kind of been there. And so it wasn't until I started going to therapy and just talking about life in general, where this therapist illuminated that for me. And that was a big shift for me. It helped me to understand, okay, there's a lot of things that I'm dealing with and that I've compartmentalized and packaged and put away, and that I've developed coping mechanisms for, that I just haven't, really acknowledged. And the only way to move through those things is having awareness and acknowledging them, so you can get to a place of accepting it, and then, reshift and reframe how you view those things. But outside of that, I feel like, when if you don't have the means to do that, a simple thing is, just simply even pulling out that journal and that pen and paper and just writing down what's going on with you. What are your thoughts? What are you feeling? What do you, what are the things that are burdening you? What are the things that, but also not only that, but what are the things that are going right with you? The things that are uplifting you too. So you're write down that duality of what's going on with you, so you have perspective to be able to say, okay, there's some things that I'm working through, because sometimes, I've seen where just me sitting down and taking 5 minutes just to write out something when I'm going through something, that's all I needed just to be able to shift me out, when I was going through a funk, or where I needed to just be able to have a little space to decompress. And I feel like that's important, especially too, it just came to my mind, as a black man, because, men, you were notorious, I think, as a whole, for not, working through things, and getting help, and getting resources to unpack things, and to develop the emotional intelligence and emotional skills to work through those things, because we have just as many emotions as anyone else. It's just a matter of, actually, like, sitting down and working through those things, instead of just allowing ourselves to be a victim of experiences and a victim of our subconscious programming. Because from my coaching background, one thing that I think is really powerful that a lot of us don't know is that 95% of our lives are shaped by the beliefs and the core wounds and the things that are undercurrents, in our system, our subconscious, and if you don't know about it, it's kind of like the iceberg in the Titanic. You can't go around what you don't know about. The Titanic didn't get sunk because of the ice cap, because of the iceberg that was above the water. It got sunk by the 65% that was below the water they couldn't see. So I feel like that would be my advice, is just having awareness, and I think also just continue to make sure that we're in community, because I think right now it's very easy as our society continues to change, with technology, everything going on right now in our world, for us to isolate, you know, and to not get real tangible connection. And I feel like that's one of the greatest things we can do to protect our mental health, and to get back to being connected. Because I feel like the more connected we are, the more rooted we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have a couple of questions from Deshaun. My God. If the world ended right now, how would you survive and what would you do and what is your alternative? What would you ever do? Would you ever become a spiritual guru? He's a pastor, Deshaun. Like, would you rather find spirituality within your own self, like trying to tap into your higher conscious and your higher being without your higher consciousness? I'm assuming these are for you, Sherrick.
Mm. Let me look at them again. Let's see. Let's see. The world ended right now. How would you survive? And what would you do? And what is your alternative? Would you ever do spiritual guru? And would you rather find spirituality with your own self by trying to tap into your higher self and your higher being, your higher consciousness? Uh, I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick one of these. I'm gonna go with that last one that you hit me with. Um, I honestly feel like me being a minister, and my faith being incredibly important to my life, and shaping me in my perspective. I feel like every day I'm seeking to become my highest version. Every day I'm seeking to become my highest version and the next version of me. Um, and I feel like for me, faith is spirituality. I think spirituality and religion are different things. I think there's a distinction. I think a lot of times what we talk about as religion, is more the construct, the ritual, the practices. But the practices, the ritual, the liturgy, all that stuff is supposed to just build, the container for us to have greater experience and personal relationship. And I think that's where the spirituality comes from: personal relationship for me, with God. And for me, I'm always seeking that, because that's my grounding. So I find that when I'm seeking, to get closer to God, that I'm getting closer to who I am, because He knows who He made me to be. He's the architect of me. So the more I'm closer to Him, I feel like automatically more I'm closer to being who I truly am, and who I'm purposed to be. Um, and so every day I'm trying to see, how do I become my high self, my best, my next best version. I'm trying to figure out, also on a practical level, what can I do today that allows me to step further into faith, step further into being someone who's following the callings and purpose of my life, you know, um, and how do I, shift and change things that are in the way. So right now, big thing, that I'm constantly working on is like, what are the beliefs that I need to change in my life right now that are getting in the way from me becoming that next best version of myself? Or what are the things that I'm afraid of that I need to run towards, because those things that we're often afraid of are the very things that are giving us the indicator, oh, this is somewhere you need to check out. This is the place where you need to go, because at the edge of our fear is always the edge of expansion. It's that's where that next best self is. So I'm always thinking of things along those lines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if the world ended right now, how would you survive? I'll answer because I know Deshaun probably he likes to throw questions at both of us. I'll say this. If the world ended, how would I survive? More importantly, I'd be with my family. I'd be with my family more than anything to keep me uplifted and grounded. It takes a village, as
Mhm.
Sherrick just said. It takes a village. Make sure that you have a village and a team behind you. And what would you do to overcome your fears? Leap. Me, I've always been the type to leap. I've always been the type to leap and to not just leap, but to also jump
Mhm.
because It's scary. Change can be scary, but I've always been the one that's optimistic. Growing up with siblings, we each collectively have had our own personality. And I believe that my mom, she's raised us to continue to go after whatever we want to do that we're passionate about. And I'm thankful that I have that village behind me, my grandmother, uh, my aunts, period, my family, my everybody. You know, it's amazing to have that village, that team behind you. That's how I've overcome my first. They have always kept me encouraged. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself. One of my affirmations that I say to myself in the morning is that I am surrounded by people who uplift me. And it's important to know that you have a generation and people that will be there backing you and supporting you 100%. What is your role to help the next generation? What would you tell the next generation if the generation has no hope? And I've already given my answer to that question. It's in one of the previous shows, Deshaun. But I will say this: what role do I want to help with the next generation? To encourage them to be bold, be fearless in your approach. Don't be afraid to speak out.
Mm,
Don't be afraid to fight for what you believe in. And
mm.
not just that, but to also stay encouraged and make sure that you have a village and a team behind you. That's what I would tell them. If they have no hope, there's always, and shout outs to Matthew F. Rios, who's coming on the show Thursday. He told me this because he called was one of the people who called and checked on me when the fire happened. Um, he said that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So, where it may seem like a dark period right now, there's always something greater that will come. And look at me now. You guys are on the next chapter with me, embarking apart upon this new journey of being a first time homeowner, co homeowner. But, you know, it's amazing.
Congratulations.
And I know that there's something greater that is also going to come after that. It's more in the horizon. I still have my baby that I birthed, Style by Stevie, and people are still tuned in. They're engaged. They're loving the process along with me. Whereas before I was scared. So that's what I would say to anybody who doesn't have any hope. Believe that there is something greater coming.
Can I
That's what I
also
would say.
can I also add? I feel like we have to recognize, when we say that, if there are people who are struggling with hope, of
Yeah.
recognizing that you are the living embodiment of hope. You're a purpose that's supposed to be fulfilled. There's something on your life, the multitude of callings and purpose that only you can fulfill. So you're the answer to some problem on this earth right now. Every one of us, the our purpose, our callings, the way we you talk about style, Stevie, our style, the way we dress, the way we think, the way we talk, the family we come from, all those wonderful things that make the cocktail of who each and every one of us are, you know, makes us, unique and individual. And there are just things that each and every one of us are called to do. And so when we're looking for hope, I think the first thing we have to do is look in ourselves. What are we called to do? What are the convictions that we have in our heart? What is the thing that's yearning for us to do on the earth? Because if we just lean into that, then that, I think, in itself gives us hope, because we wouldn't be here if there wasn't a purpose for our lives. So that right there says that, hey, God put us here because He wants us here to affect that change, and to bring that hope that we might be looking for. We might be the very thing. And I think it goes back to you talking about being authentic. Like I said before, the more that we're authentic and truly walking in who we are, the more we give other people permission to do the same. Because we can walk down the street and be walking in our fullness of who we are and our light. And that light is, the thing that can be the very thing to someone who's in despair, or feeling hopeless because of things going around, they see us walking in that light and they're like, oh, I needed that. And that's just from us doing what we do, you know, because sometimes the greatest testimony and impact we can have on others is just by being us and moving in this world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And do we like okra? No, I don't like okra, but my mom does. So don't bring any around her who likes okra and squash. But no,
Oh
I
man.
don't. Yes.
Uh now
He
I
must
think
be
I
eating.
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I think I can probably stay on for maybe 5 more minutes. But I answered the okra question too. My family is from Mississippi, so my grandfather used to love him some fried okra. So I'm a fan of fried okra. I'm a fan of okra if it's not in stew, because it get too a little too slimy for me when it's in stew and soup. So yeah,
And
if it's like
especially
if
when
it's
you
chopped,
put it in the refrigerator and it's just, oh, I can't. Oh, no, 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 no. Not for me at
yeah.
all.
Yeah, so I like it. I like it. I just don't like it when it's when people cook it in a way where it makes it super slimy.
And yes, we got Chef Scott in here, so she knows all about it. She said my son loves okra. So there we go, fashion dolls. I can't keep Sherrick, but this conversation I hope was helpful to somebody. My ring light went out, but the makeup is flawless. The makeup is just it's flawless. I gotta do a deep break down the deets or something one day. Shout outs to Melanie. But what I would say closing out the show today, because we touched on a number of things from authenticity to telling your stories and the importance of telling your stories, and not just telling your stories but also embracing the culture, black culture. It's a quote from Maya Angelou that I will leave you guys with. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. So I want you all to know, use your gifts. Don't sit on your gifts. Like Kim Cole said, use those gifts. So if you have a talent, get out there and use that talent. And that's what I told my mom. She was like, "You so ready to get back to doing Style by Stevie, to doing the show after the fire happened." She's like, "You gotta, it's traumatizing." I'm like, "This is therapeutic for me. This is my therapy. This is my medicine." And my medicine helps people in the world through what they're going through. Me being a light of joy, and not just the light of joy, but to also encourage people. That's what I would say. So, Sherrick, your thoughts. And my girl Chef Scott says, Pastor O'Quinn, thank you.
Not quite a pastor yet, but I certainly appreciate it. My closing thought is, do you be you. You know, the world needs all of us to be who we uniquely are, to tell our stories, to walk our walk, um, because we never know what answer lies within us by just being who we're supposed to be. And if you're out there, for those people who are creatives and artists or who have a dream, period, go chase it. You only got one life to live. Go chase whatever it is. And live that and live a life, that's aligned with what's calling out to you.
Absolutely. And there we have it. Let everyone know where they can follow you, and if you have any projects coming out, where they can look
Yes,
for.
yes, yes, yes. So I was saying I just wrapped Time to Kill in Los Angeles. That was a nice run. Worked on it for about 4 months. I'm currently going to be working on a short film called The Verdict coming up this week. And I may have some other news coming up soon. I can't share right now, but hopefully be something I can keep you posted with Stevie. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Sherrick O'Quinn on Instagram. That's SHERRICK on Instagram, and keep up with what's going on with me, my acting, art, etc., etc. And Steve, I just want to say thank you so much for the time, for inviting me back out. It was a pleasure, and especially considering that you're in the throes of moving and making this really, really awesome move into stepping into more expansion for yourself. So thank you for making the time.
And I receive it. I receive it. I receive it, Minister O'Quinn. And hey, Spicy, hey, girl. Okay, you guys, Saturday a treat. Hopefully, me and Bubs are going to be going live together. Um, Case, Case, Calvin, and Justin will hopefully be joining me. So make sure you guys tune in for that Saturday. We haven't said anything yet in stone, but when we do, we will let y'all know. But Thursday, we have Matthew F. Rios joining me, so make sure y'all tune in with me, and hopefully, we will be live from my new room at the new house. So, y'all make sure that y'all are staying tuned for updates. Of course, morning walks and talks, 7 a.m., whenever. Make sure you guys are staying tuned. Real, raw, and no filter, and unfiltered. You will not be seeing me look like this. It was me in the raw, no makeup, nothing. First thing in the morning, and it is scary. But I said, you know what? If you want people to see the real, you got to go all the way out. So I remember I did a show without makeup. I love you too, Chef Scott. I love all of y'all. And I will see y'all this Thursday, Fashion Dolls. Make sure y'all are staying tuned. Till next time, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.